Hi, I'm Annie Lively, licensed massage therapist in Richmond, Virginia. We'll be speaking with Jay Douglas, Executive Director of the Virginia Board of Nursing. This video covers 3 very important areas of concern for licensed Virginia massage therapists. These include continuing competency requirements to keep your license current, how you might lose your license through disciplinary actions, and how you can get your license back if you lose it. Finally, we discuss what you should do in the event that you witness or become aware of illegal massage therapy practice. Jay, how often are we required to renew our licensure?
Renewal of a massage therapy license, the requirement is every 2 years. And so we try and keep that as simple as possible for people that have to remember, and we do it in your birth month and consistent with an odd or an even year depending on when you were born. So if you were born in an even year, then on your birth month, in even years you renew, and you renew every 2 years.
And Jay, what are the massage therapy continuing competency requirements?
Well, people are actually given an option in this area where they can maintain their certification with NCBTMB, or they take continuing education credits, 24 hours of continuing education credits. 12 of those have to be delivered by an approved provider, and that is all outlined in the regulations, the specifics of what areas and what an approved provider means. The other 12 can be taken in other ways, not necessarily through approved provider, and maybe things like teaching a course or doing research and other alternatives.
Good.
Definitely what I neglected to say is in that first 12 hours that has to be by a preferred provider, there has to be 1 hour of professional ethics.
Correct, yeah. So lots of options to get continuing education then.
Yeah, I think it's doable for people, yes.
To kind of go off of that, if you do not meet the continuing education requirements, what can happen to you?
Well, what happens in terms of the renewal process is people are asked to attest to having meet the requirements, and so therefore that requires being familiar with the laws and regulations, and as part of that renewal process, people are asked to ensure that they're familiar with those and have read those regulations. So they attest to that as part of the renewal process, and then periodically the board will conduct random audits, and that entails asking the massage therapist to submit documentation of what they've done to meet those requirements. So it's important. So a couple of things that are important about renewal is to ensure that you keep your address current at the board, with the board, because the only way that we can be in touch with you and let you know your license is due for renewal is to keep that address current. And then the second very important thing is to make sure that you keep documentation of those continuing education hours in the event that you are audited by the board. If somebody either doesn't respond to that audit or they do not meet the requirements that are in the regulations, then they could be subject to further disciplinary action.
And Jay, for what reasons might a person's license be denied or removed?
Well, in the Code of Virginia, under 54.1 3007, there are various situations set forth where conduct might be an issue that the board might decide to deny a license or to take action against a license. And they are things that range from unprofessional conduct, convictions, a variety of things that are actually listed in the Code of Virginia. And then the board has the responsibility to determine if that individual has actually violated that law or regulation. So that would be looked at as part of an application for licensure, and also if a complaint came before the board, then it would be those sections of the code that would be looked at. Sometimes it's a matter of a license might have been restricted or revoked in another state. There may be a conviction, or it may be the list of various unprofessional conduct situations.
Jay, if I were to lose my license, will I ever be able to get it back?
Yes. After having gone through a process and having proved to the board that you're safe and competent to practice. So each situation is very different. You know, the reasons for a license being taken away may be very different from one to another. If a license is revoked, then the law provides that you cannot apply for reinstatement for 3 years after the revocation. If a license is suspended, then that will be specified in the board order as to how long before you can petition the board to have your license reinstated. And at that point, there is a process which includes coming before the board and presenting evidence that there's been a change in your circumstances, or the conditions for which the license was suspended or revoked have now changed. And it's up to the applicant to prove to the board that somebody is safe and competent to practice.
And Jay, can the public learn about the board's disciplinary actions?
Yes, actually, that action is available to the public. Any board orders or any notices of any hearings are available on the board's website under our license lookup. Or if somebody calls the board, we would certainly provide that information. We don't ever provide the details of an investigation or investigative report, but a notice of a hearing or a final order from the board is posted on license lookup and available for the public, patients, other massage therapists, anybody that might want that information.
Wow, that's great.
You know, the board believes, and of course it is, you know, in law we are required to reveal that kind of information about board actions, but that, you know, the public has a right to know who's taking care of them and if there's been any issues in their practice before.
Absolutely. Patient safety is first.
Yes, I mean, the mission of the board is to protect the public. Sometimes that's hard for individuals who have complaints lodged against them because they feel like the board's there to protect them. The board is there to protect the public and patients, and both in making an initial licensure decision or in responding to a complaint. That's what's foremost in the board's mind.
And Jay, what should we do if we know of or observe a massage therapist practicing unethically or in an unsafe manner?
Well, there's kind of two approaches depending on whether the person is licensed by the Board of Nursing or whether they perhaps do not hold a license. In the event of somebody that's regulated by the Board of Nursing, they would lodge a complaint directly with the Department of Health Professions through our Enforcement Division. And they're on the Department of Health Professions website, there's the process for lodging a complaint, which can be online, by telephone, or in writing. And then the board would look at, is this a possible violation? Is this complaint a possible violation of law or regulation? And would investigate that if it appears to be. In the event of an unlicensed practitioner who perhaps is holding themselves out as a massage therapist and they're not licensed with us, or, you know, we are seeing more frequently people saying that they perform Asian massage, or they're an Asian massage, you know, therapist, different, we see different descriptions, I think, of that performed by people who are not licensed. It may be a law enforcement issue. Sometimes we get those complaints and we'll certainly refer them to law enforcement if the person's not licensed, but probably the best thing to do in that circumstance is to contact law enforcement. As we are certainly seeing, unfortunately in Virginia, some cases of human trafficking, some people really being taken advantage of, and sometimes trying to hide behind somebody who is legitimate and has a legitimate practice. You know, we've seen some fraud related to that, and you know, fraudulent licenses, or maybe trying to use somebody else's license even though a person is not qualified or regulated by the board.